Our world is filled with natural wonders. As with other naturalists fueled with curiosity, I've endeavored to understand as much as I can about these wonders. A timeless and invaluable tool that most naturalists use is a journal. A journal not only helps the naturalist to reflect upon his observations, but protects the observations from the human memory, which is notorious for distorting and neglecting details. I am passionate about my studies and love to share with anybody willing to engage. This is why I create and share my nature journal. We have at least 2 or 3 pairs of hooded warblers nesting at the sanctuary. They like disturbed areas in the forest, places where large trees were logged. The logging here took place before Spring Farm Cares purchased the land. It borders up with our neighbor's property, in which does get selectively logged on a fairly regular basis. We are trying not to disturb them too much around their nesting grounds. Here is one of their nests in a tangle of ferns. You can see there are 3 eggs in it. I've found more nymphs of the straight-lanced katydid in other fields. I still hear the adults singing, but I have yet to see an adult or witness the singing with my eyes. In a previous journal, I mentioned the 2-striped grasshopper, a member of the spur-throated grasshopper family. This is a very close relative, the red-legged grasshopper. In fact, it's in the same genus, Melanoplis.
Yeah, I see some stuff.
Other than size and a few obscure markings and proportions of the antenna, they look very similar. The nymphs seem to be more common than the adults right now. They too look similar to the 2-striped grasshopper, but they tend to be more brown, whereas the 2-striped are green nymphs. The 2 species share similar range in habitat and season. As we progress into August and September, we should be seeing more adults of both Melanoplis species. Another Melanoplis species I found this week seems to be a little more rare than the other 2, Melanoplis viridipes, or the green-legged grasshopper. There wasn't a lot of information I could find on this one in my research, but apparently it does seem to like trees more than it does the fields. My study on orthopterans is proving to be quite difficult. I could not make an identification on this one, although I believe it is a false katydid in the subfamily of Phaneropterinae. I hope as the season progresses, it gets easier. Part of the problem is trying to find information that's available. The other problem is trying to get a good look. It's not always easy. I may have to start catching them to see them better. For example, I believe this one is the sword-bearing conehead katydid, but there are some markings that I never got a chance to see. Of course, there's other insects at the sanctuary to consider also. I must admit, when I first saw this, I thought they were ticks, and it made my skin crawl. But they are not. They are shield bugs, also known as stink bugs. I do prefer the term shield bugs, though. And I do believe wording does matter when trying to promote a positive attitude towards something. I noticed when I was doing Google searches, when I type in the words stink bugs, only sites about exterminating them come up. To find more useful information, I needed to type in the words shield bug. I recently read a book about coyotes, and the author had noticed that people who called them coyote generally had a positive attitude toward them, and people who called them coyotes tended to think of them as a threat or a nuisance. And there's loads of other examples. For example, marketing sturgeon eggs didn't work until they changed the name to caviar. If you offered somebody insect vomit, they would probably think you were crazy, but nobody thinks twice about eating honey. Our politicians certainly understand this. Millions are spent on marketing experts to come up with terminology promoting their own agendas and other terminology to dissuade against opposing agendas. My point is, it's an interesting concept, and when trying to convey a message, we should use our words wisely. So back to the insects, here's some butterflies. This is the Great Spangled Fritillary. It's been common for a couple weeks now, but it takes a cold morning to get one slow enough to actually film. We've had more dun skippers this week. Probably other skippers too. They are proving to be difficult to get close enough to get a good look at, however. Another common butterfly we've been seeing is the common wood nymph. They reside in brushy fields and woodland edges, where the most common food plant for their larvae are the grasses. It's easily identified by the two large eye spots and the dark color. The northern pearly-eyed is a closely related species. In other years, it's been more common, but this year we've seen very few. This is the second one spotted. In the same field with the butterflies, there are some dragonflies. Here's a cherry-faced meadowhawk. Around Wicks Pond, some of the dragonflies are laying eggs now. This is a female common whitetail in the process of laying them. The males are flying above her, fighting. Probably the one that mated her is protecting her from the other males trying to mate her. I spotted a dead one of these last week, but a couple alive this week. The female eastern pond hawk. The bright green really makes her stand out from the other dragonflies, including her male counterpart, which is a powdery blue. I didn't have a lot of video to go through this week, mostly because there were a couple days of heavy rain and a couple of tours that we gave. One last thing I should mention though, is in the creek by the first gate,
that got washed out a lot deeper in the flood. Some black-nosed dace have moved in. The orange fins on the male must indicate that it's their breeding season right now. It's nice to have them here. It's the first time I've noticed them in our creek.
Our mission at Spring Farm Cares Nature Sanctuary is to protect wildlife and enhance habitat around central New York. We thank everybody for supporting us, and if anyone has any questions, comments, would like to learn more, or schedule a tour with us, please check out our website or find us on Facebook.